You're watching ABC4 News.
Welcome back. As we say goodbye to 2020, healthcare experts tell us it's important to find resilience in what has been for many a traumatic year. We try to teach resilience to our kids. It's tough even for adults, right? ABC4's Dina Manzanares sits down with Travis Mickelson. He's the medical director for mental health integration at Intermountain Healthcare to look at how we can make strides in 2021.
It's the final week of 2020, and we have the chance to reflect on what this year has meant for us, how it has changed us. No doubt we've all been impacted by the pandemic, some more than others. Dr. Travis Mickelson, Medical Director for Mental Health Integration of Intermountain Healthcare, joining me now. How are you? Thank you so much for being here.
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me.
I love the message that you are sharing today, one of resilience.
Yes. So in the research on the effects of trauma, large-scale trauma and natural disasters, kind of like what we're experiencing this entire year with this COVID pandemic. A couple of points that we read a lot about in this research is this concept of post-traumatic growth and this concept of resilience. And so whether someone experiences symptoms of post-traumatic stress or post-traumatic growth really depends on how well they're supported, how well they support themselves, how well they're supported by their family and their community. And so the concept of resilience is our ability to get through challenging situations. And one of the great things about ending 2020 is it gives us an opportunity to reflect on how has 2020 changed us? How are we better because of what we've had to go through this last year?
And not to minimize anybody's struggles through the year, but we do grow the most when we are faced with big challenges. There's always lessons that we can look for and take from those tough times.
You're right. And I think that's important for us adults to remember because we've all experienced challenging situations before, maybe not to the level of this COVID pandemic this last year. But if we reflect on who am I, what matters to me, what events in my life have helped shape who I am and what I believe in, it's probably more the challenging situations, the real stressful situations than the easy ones. So although this has been an extremely difficult year for many of us, I'm sure that there are going to be a lot of opportunities for us to look back on and learn from and realize that we are stronger, better people because of what we've experienced this last year.
Dr. Mickelson, we're almost out of time, but I would love to hear from you what some questions are that we can ask ourselves to reflect and process as we look back on 2020.
Well, one of the challenges is although we're at the end of 2020, we're not at the end of the COVID pandemic. We still have some time left before this COVID pandemic is going to be all the way behind us. And so I'm hoping that some of what we can learn that we've used this last year, we can use to get into 2021. But here's a few questions that we should be able to ask ourselves as we look back at challenging situations. Questions like, what do I do when times get hard? Who do I help? Who helps me when times get hard? Who do I want to be when this is over? And what will this have meant for me? So those are questions that if we ask ourselves those questions, that can remind us of some of those positive growth moments that we had over this last year, that then we can integrate them into this next year as we continue to get through these next several months with this pandemic.
Big questions reflecting on that big year. Doctor, thank you so much for taking the time. More information can be found at intermountainhealthcare.org. Happy New Year. Thanks again.
Thank you. Bye.
Some great advice there. Coming up, as we say goodbye